Come see us do stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So the Trump administration sent a letter to Harvard about their policy changes that the Trump is demanding they make in order to continue to receive federal funding. First of all, I don't understand why Harvard needs federal funding.
At all.
I would say just stop. Why not just cut the federal funding? They have a $50 billion endowment. They don't need They don't need the tuition from their students. They don't need federal money. But this is Trump trying to control them, right? Here we go. So Trump's administration's threat letter to Harvard demands a comprehensive audit of anti-Semitism, followed by a demand for the abolition of DEI, including speech control policies.
Wow.
As if there's no conceivable contradiction there. So they're policing your speech, and then they want you to not police other speech. Just police the speech that Israel wants. So they're getting rid of the DEI speech policing, and they're replacing it with the Israel police speeching.
Which admittedly is less politically correct. It's a lot more racist, put it that way. This is a continuation of that lady that kind of looked like Mayor Chocolate Rain of LA. She was the head of Harvard, the first black woman, and she was a plagiarist. Do you remember this story?
Yes. And
they were asking her, is genocide wrong? And she couldn't just go, yes, genocide is wrong. That's what this is.
So this is part of the letter. Reforming programs with egregious records of anti-Semitism or other bias. By August 2025, the university shall commission an external party which shall satisfy the federal government as to its competence and good faith to audit those programs and departments that most fuel anti-Semitic harassment or reflect ideological capture. So this is thought policing. This is just... Remember how everybody hated hate speech laws? This is Trump's hate speech laws.
It sounds like...
And it's not even for America. Yeah. It's for another country, which is just a terrorist country, Israel, which is led us into every war that Trump claims he hated. The Iraq War, the Libyan War, the Syrian War, Lebanon, the genocide in Gaza, Yemen bombing, the Sudan, Somalia, all at the behest of Israel. So this is worse than hate speech laws. Well, it's the new hate speech laws, and Trump is doing it. The era of free speech had never got here. It never got here.
Are you sure you're not just doing the anti-Israel grift? That's a real phrase.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know how all the money's in anti-Israel stuff. Just ask Susan Sarandon.
Getting rich on going against Israel.
Ask Susan Sarandon. So here it is. They want the university to set up an external committee to monitor your speech, not only your speech, but if you reflect ideological capture. This is thought police stuff. And then at the bottom, it says discontinuation of DEI. The university must immediately shutter all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, offices, committees, positions, and initiatives under whatever name, and stop all DEI-based policies, including DEI-based disciplinary or speech control policies. So they're against a certain kind of speech control policies while they're instituting a way worse speech control policy. Because this speech control policy covers me. Because I'm going to tell you the truth about Israel. I'm going to tell you the truth that they're committing ethnic cleansing and they're targeting children on purpose. They're committing murder and genocide and siege warfare.
Well, Jimmy, why the significance of Harvard is? Because these are the rich kids that pull the levers of power. Hopefully, once they get put through this and they come out, people like you won't be allowed to exist because they'll be running the Justice Department, right?
Yes, and so all the assholes, all the liberal, progressive assholes who were for monitoring speech under DEI, because I've seen everybody from every lefty to even comedians advocating for hate speech laws. Well, now it's being used on you. Now it's being used on you when you want to criticize the United States government and Israel and their policies of genocide. Now it's being used. So do you see why it's important that you have to stand up for the speech you hate?
Wait,
So the stupid fucking progressive asshole liberals who wanted hate speech laws to censor people. Well, if you're not for the speech you hate, you're not for free speech. And now that same ideology is being used against you when you want to criticize Israel. Do you not see that? Do you not see how the stupid this is just woke? This is just Israeli wokeness.
Are you talking to the big head girl from the Puerto Rican girl from Snow White that said free Palestine and everybody hates her?
So Wesleyan, Princeton, and now Harvard are refusing to capitulate to Trump. Really makes Columbia look quite bad. A disturbing. So I guess they're not going along with it. So Trump's going to pull their federal funding, and I say good. Those places don't need federal funding.
Did Doge find that?
You know what should be happening at Columbia is that the faculty should be walking out over what? Over academic freedom, over free speech. They should be, and so should the students, but they're not. They're knuckling under at Columbia. Isn't that amazing? But
no,
they're standing up at Wesleyan, Princeton, and now Harvard. So the U.S. Department of Education, along with the Departments of Health and Human Services and the General Services Administration, sent a letter to Harvard University demanding extensive policy changes to maintain nearly $9 billion in federal funding. The demands included eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, banning masks at protests. What are the feds going to do now? Because they all wear masks at protests. Ensuring viewpoint diversity in hiring and admissions, and reporting foreign students who violate conduct rules to federal authorities. So they want you to snitch on your neighbor. This is Nazi shit.
Mm-hmm. Not when we do it.
Not when we do it. The letter accused Harvard of failing to address anti-Semitism and promote. You know what fuels anti-Semitism? This.
Yeah.
Trump trying to make it illegal to criticize Israel. That's what fuels anti-Semitism. That's what makes people go, hey, I wonder if there's a cabal of Jews who are, I wonder if they're actually pulling the levers of power and controlling things. That's what spurs all that.
You'd think a smarty pants school like Harvard would teach the basic fact that Arabs are also Semites, so it's kind of absurd to do that exclusively for Jews when you say anti-Semitism.
And by the way, the Jews aren't Semites. Most of the people in Israel aren't Semites. That's why every prime minister of Israel changed their name to sound more like they're from the region. They're all from Europe.
They're transmites.
Yeah, and that's why you can't get a DNA test unless a court okays it in Israel, because they don't want people to know that they're not Semites.
This sounds very trans.
And Trump is threatening to freeze $2.2 billion in grants and $60 million in contracts if it's unmet. The letter also required audits of academic programs, particularly those suspected of fueling anti-Semitism, and reform to governance and disciplinary processes. Harvard's refusal marked a shift from other universities like Columbia, which complied with similar demands to avoid the funding cuts. The conflict reflects broader tensions between the Trump administration and elite universities over issues like anti-Semitism, free speech, and DEI initiatives. So Trump's getting rid of one set of hate speech rules, and he's implementing them with a much more insidious set of hate speech rules. And the effect is a chill and academic freedom, debate, discussion, all that stuff that who's the guy from the Daily Wire? Ben Shapiro said that you're a snowflake. You're a snowflake if you can't handle robust debate.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Facts don't care about your feelings. Higher ed war heats up as Trump threatens Harvard's tax-exempt status. President Trump threatened on social media to revoke the tax-exempt status of Harvard University. Perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity if it keeps pushing political, ideological, and terrorist-inspired supporting sickness, Trump said in a Truth Social post. By the way,
it should.
They
tax them. They make billions.
Tax them.
How much money they make?
Tax them.
They're not a church.
His comments mark the latest volley in a battle between the Trump administration and the wealthiest college in the world. A battle that heated up last Friday when the administration sent Harvard a list of demands it said must be met or risk losing $9 billion. They have a $50 billion endowment. They don't need your money.
Yeah.
Harvard's president yesterday rejected the administration's demands, saying they were illegal and an intolerable attempt to dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. I have to admit, I side with Harvard on this, even though I don't think they should be getting federal money in the first place. The administration responded within hours, freezing more than $2.2 billion in grants and multi-year contracts to Harvard, much of it intended for research on a wide range of subjects. Many higher education leaders welcomed Harvard's stance, saying the school was uniquely positioned to take the lead. Harvard really had no choice given the extent the demands the Trump administration made on it, said Michael Dore, a law professor at Cornell. Ted Mitchell, the president of the American Council of Education, an organization that represents 1,600 colleges and universities, said that by taking the lead, Harvard paved the way for other institutions to oppose the administration's. Finally, somebody standing up to Trump's woke policies of policing speech. Because that's what this is. So the thing you thought you voted for in Trump, you're getting the exact opposite. It's just a different version of it. If Harvard hadn't stood up, it would have sent a chill across higher education that would have really hampered the ability of other institutions to define for themselves where that red line is. The administration maintains that attacks on Harvard and dozens of other universities are an attempt to root out anti-Semitism on campus. No, it's an attempt to root out academic freedom and free speech. That's what it is. And so this isn't just about foreigners anymore. It's about anybody, anywhere, at any of these universities. In March, the government announced that 60 universities were under investigation by the U.S. Education Department for allegedly failing to protect Jewish students.
From what? Hearing about DNA test results?
Yeah. The disruption of learning that has plagued campuses in recent years is unacceptable, said the administration's Joint Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism, said in a statement yesterday. It is time for elite universities to take the problem seriously and commit to meaningful change if they wish to continue. If there's any ethnic group that needs more power,
yeah,
and protection,
it's the one that doesn't live here and lives in Israel.
Yep.
People not even from here.
President Trump has also repeatedly said that he wants to curb what he views as a far-left bias in academia. So now we want to have a far Israel right bias. It's the exact same. It's just meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
It's going to be a real morning in America.
We're going to choke off the money to schools that aid the Marxists. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Dear God.
No, you're going to choke the money off from people who are allowed to criticize Israel and Zionism. The days of subsidizing communists, so it's all the buzzwords, Marxists, communists, all the buzzwords. But what Trump is doing his version of Marxist communism, Nazism. That's what this is.
By the way, they try to tell you all those things are different, but it's like they really are all forms of the same thing. And they put it in these stupid terms so they can keep you in your sheep pen forever of left and right.
That's right. While the loss of grants and I just showed you how it's this bipartisan. Barack Obama wanted to make sure that the government could oppress you and stifle your speech and throw you in jail indefinitely, and so does Trump. You know who doesn't? The Supreme Court, which is a right-wing, Republican, conservative Supreme Court. So thank God for the Supreme Court. While the loss of grants and contracts for researchers in wide ranges of fields is alarming, many college leaders have said that they were deeply worried that the administration might move beyond that, notably by threatening their tax-exempt status. Well, fuck them. I really don't care about that.
Get rid of it on your own. Have some decency.
Yeah.
We don't need it. We make so much money, we don't need that.
Yeah, how about that? Trump's comments today confirm those fears. The catalog of horrors is a thick one, Mitchell said. There are plenty of things that the administration can seek to do that would throw institutions off kilter, and tax-exempt status is certainly one of them.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm sure Harvard, their free market...
I couldn't care less.
Yeah, like...
Already, legal challenges have begun, including a lawsuit filed late last week by the Harvard faculty, along with the American Association of University Professors, challenging the administration's demands for changes in order to maintain funding levels. Among those demands are that Harvard eliminate DEI programs, screen international students who are supportive of terrorism or anti-Semitism. So that's just, we don't like you.
Right.
And ensure viewpoint diversity in its hiring.
So diverse except for that one thing.
Except for that one thing.
Fine.
So
why not let the free market decide what they teach and take away all that shit? Take it all away from them, and the free market can decide if Harvard is worth it. I'll bet it won't decide that. I'll bet it will not decide that unless you literally rig the game to make it like that.
Come see us do stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.